Let's work with cones today, finding their volume. The volume of a cone with a radius is 1/3 the area of its base, or b, times the height, h. So if we're looking, this is the formula that we use, 1/3 the big base times the height. Or instead of thinking of it as the big base, we think of it as pi r squared because the base is a circle and the area of a circle is pi r squared. So this is the formula that I would suggest having in your notebook. So a cone is a three-dimensional figure with one circular base connected by a curved surface to a single vertex. So to find this cone's volume, we need to make sure that we round to the nearest tenth, because that's what they asked us, and we need to make sure that we have all the right pieces. Okay, so the first step would be to write down the formula. 1/3 pi r squared times the height. That's our volume of our cone. So we know 1/3 is 1/3. We know pi is 3.14. Do we have our radius? Yes, it's not a diameter, it's a radius. So 3, and we square it, and the height is 6. So now let's go ahead and plug in our numbers. Solve for our plugged in numbers. Okay, so we know 3 squared is 3 times 3 or 9. And so we're going to multiply all these pieces together. And when we do so, we get a total of about 56 5/10 cubic inches. Okay, so when you're thinking of volume, you're filling it in with all these little cubes, right? So that's why we do cubic inches. A cone-shaped paper cup is filled with water. The height of the cup is 10 centimeters and the diameter is 8 centimeters. What is the volume of the paper cup? Round to the nearest tenth. Go ahead and try this one, and I'll be back in just a second to show you the answer. Okay, I need to see all of your work, and I need to see what I've done in red if you did anything differently, just like what we do when we're grading a formative. Okay, so go ahead and take a look at my work. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger for y'all. There we go. So if we look at this, I did the formula first, then I showed my work, and then I have my answer and making sure that we have a label. So if you don't want to write it out, you would use cubic centimeters. So centimeters cubed. Okay, so what we did here was we plugged in the radius of 4, we squared that to get 16, multiplied it by 10, 160, times it by pi and 1/3, and we got 167 6/10 centimeters cubed. Okay, this next one is going to take a little bit of recall. Find the volume of the solid, round to the nearest tenth. You have a cylinder here and you have a cone. Okay, so we're going to apply what we learned in previous classes to this video. So first find the volume of the cylinder, find the volume of the cone, and bring them together to make one composite figure. Go ahead and try this one, and I'll be back in just a second to show you the answers. Okay, remember to make sure that you have your work shown separately and then mine in a different color or highlighted off to the side. Okay, so here's what I did. I took the volume of the cylinder first, pi r squared times height, because you're taking the big base, which is a circle, times your height and filling it up. Okay, so if this was my base, I'm filling it all the way up. Okay, so pi times my radius, which was 4, and I squared it, was 16. And pi times 16 times 4 gives me about 201 1/10. I rounded to the nearest tenth because they told me to. Then find the volume of the cone, 1/3 pi r squared times height. So again, same thing here, squared my 4, and I got 16. Took it times pi, took it times 1/3, and times 5. And I got approximately 83 8/10, because again, they told me to round to the nearest tenth. So this is a composite figure. It's made up of 2 figures. So to find their total volume, I added them together, 201 1/10 plus 83 8/10, and I got 284 9/10 cubic feet. And that's all I've got for you today. I will see you next time.